Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the invisible infrastructure that completely powers our digital lives. You know, every single time you stream a video, send a text, or join a remote meeting, you are interacting with the most complex machine humanity has ever built. So let's dive right in. This explainer is actually Chapter 10 of an incredibly detailed 15-part tutorial series called Modern Telecommunications. We've sourced this directly from the experts at Virtualization Options LLC, which is a fantastic Colorado-based technology research, education, and advisory organization. We're going to use their research to chart the amazing evolution of global connectivity.
Here is our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The foundations of connectivity. 2. The digital and IP revolution. 3. Optical and wireless highways. 4. Managing complex networks. And 5. The future of telecommunications. Let's get right into it. Part 1. The foundations of connectivity, from Morse to the modern era. Because fundamentally, telecommunications is really just about moving raw signals across distances.
Every generation we've seen wasn't just a simple speed upgrade, it was a fundamental architectural transformation. We start way back in the 1840s with Samuel Morse's telegraphy, which literally seeded the concept of encoding language into electrical pulses. Then, by the 1970s, we hit this watershed shift to digital transmission. 1984 gave us the OSI reference model. In 1998, IPv6 was standardized to handle future internet expansion, bringing us right into the 2020s, where 5G and the Internet of Things are accelerating massive global deployment. Now, a totally crucial concept for all of this to work is multiplexing. It's how we share a single transmission medium among many simultaneous users. We have frequency division, which gives unique frequency bands to each channel. Just think of AM and FM radio stations sharing the airwaves without talking over each other. Then there's time division, using repeating time slots in a bit stream, like classic T1 telephone circuits. And finally, statistical multiplexing, which uses demand-driven bandwidth allocation. This is exactly how your bursty, unpredictable internet data is handled today.
And that statistical approach brings up a wild economic engine of this whole industry: oversubscription. Telecommunications relies heavily on statistical oversubscription. Providers routinely overbook their access links, betting that we won't all transmit data at the exact same millisecond. It's a balancing act, but when those assumptions break down, like they did globally during the COVID-19 pandemic, networks congest rapidly.
Moving along to Part 2, the digital and IP revolution, building the packet-switched world. This is the era where analog voice was finally transformed into the data packets that now rule the internet. How did that happen? Well, it all boils down to one simple, elegant mathematical formula based on the Nyquist-Shannon theorem. Engineers realized they could perfectly capture the human voice by taking 8,000 samples per second and multiplying that by 8 bits per sample. That equals 64 kilobits per second. That 64 kbps unit is absolutely the DNA of the digital revolution. But to manage all this new digital complexity without it turning into absolute chaos, engineers standardized the OSI reference model in 1984. It's a hierarchical framework that gives everyone a common vocabulary. At the very bottom, Layer 1 handles the physical stuff, like cables and signal voltages. Layer 2, the data link layer, ensures reliable node-to-node delivery using hardware MAC addresses and switches. Layer 3 handles logical addressing and routing, think IP addresses. And Layer 4, the transport layer, manages the actual end-to-end delivery using protocols like TCP.
Speaking of IP addresses, check out this massive number: 340 undecillion. Driven by the absolute explosion of IoT devices, the original IPv4 address space just ran out of room. So we migrated to IPv6, which expanded the address space to this staggering scale. That basically ensures every single device on Earth can have a globally routable address for a very, very long time.
Part 3. Optical and wireless highways, the need for speed. Having established all those digital rules, our network suddenly needed vastly more physical capacity to carry the load. To get that speed, engineers rely on DWDM, or dense wavelength division multiplexing. The capacity of modern optical fiber is just mind-blowing. By shooting dozens of different colors of light down the same fiber, a single strand literally thinner than a human hair can carry tens of terabits per second. This elegant physics is what moves the vast majority of the world's data today. With that massive capacity in place, Voice over IP, or VoIP, disrupted everything.
IPPBX endpoints finally took phone calls off of dedicated, wasteful copper circuits and moved them directly onto the exact same packet switch data networks we use for the internet.
This architectural shift fundamentally decoupled the hardware from the service. Call control now just runs in software on commodity servers, while the heavy lifting of media processing is offloaded to centralized gateways. It allowed networks to scale massively.
And naturally, this led to a complete convergence of telecommunications and cloud computing. The lines are totally blurring now. Every cloud service relies on the telecom network, while telecom services themselves are increasingly hosted directly in the cloud. It's a completely symbiotic relationship.
Which brings us to part 4, managing complex networks, orchestrating the chaos. Operating these global networks requires incredibly sophisticated management systems.
The central challenge of modern operations is this fundamental shift in perspective, moving from the network management layer to the service management layer. While NML tracks physical resource health, like does this fiber have good optical power, SML tracks the actual customer experience. Is your video stream buffering? The industry is moving from just managing raw hardware to ensuring a flawless service experience.
But managing that service layer is incredibly complex. You're dealing with heterogeneous media types like fiber, 5G, and Wi-Fi all at once. Think about a mission-critical action, like remote surgery. That data must instantly traverse multiple access technologies seamlessly. There is zero margin for error when latency requirements are that strict.
Finally, Part 5, the future of telecommunications, intelligence, and scale. We are standing on the threshold of the most significant decade of change in this industry's history.
First up, the digital twin. To manage billions of IoT devices at scale without breaking the physical network, operators are utilizing these continuously updated virtual replicas. It lets them safely simulate, monitor, and orchestrate massive, complex environments right in software.
Over the air, things are just as crazy. Massive MIMO is a revolutionary 5G antenna technology. It uses arrays of dozens, even hundreds of elements to dynamically steer radio beams directly to multiple users simultaneously, delivering unbelievable terabit per second wireless speeds.
But here is the absolute bleeding edge. We are rapidly moving toward AI-native autonomous networks that configure themselves. We're seeing terahertz spectrum expansion. We're seeing quantum key distribution for ultimate physics-based security. We're even seeing metamaterial surfaces, where the building materials themselves literally become the communication system. Which brings me to a final thought to leave you with. If the very building materials around us become the network, and artificial intelligence operates it completely autonomously, will the network of the future be something we build, or something that builds itself? It's been an incredible evolution from a single copper wire. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the incredible technology all around you.